Michaela from D&D Beef, and today we're going to talk about safe handling and thawing your beef. So when you receive beef from us, our beef has only been frozen once. Once our animals are taken to the butcher and harvested, our beef is dry aged for 21 days, and then once the butcher cuts it, as in makes it into ground, steaks, or roast, they put it in a freezer at the butcher. So our beef has only been frozen once after it's been harvested at the butcher, and you will receive it frozen. Our beef ships on dry ice, plenty of dry ice, in a safe cooler from our ranch to your plate. Once you receive your beef, it's best to place it in the freezer unless you're going to be enjoying part of it right away. Then I would take it out, put it on a plate, and place it in your fridge to thaw. Most beef takes 1 to 2 days to thaw. It just depends on the thickness of cut. Like this is a Denver steak, so you can see it's about 1 inch thick. But if you're thawing like a pound of ground beef or some roast or a brisket or short ribs, when it's thicker, it's going to take a little longer to thaw. So if you're in a little bit of a hurry and want to thaw your beef faster, this is something I do quite often, is I will take a cut of beef like this that's frozen. I put it in a Ziploc bag, like a freezer gallon bag, seal it up, and then I place it in a bowl filled with water. What this does, in cold water, what this does is thaws it extremely, extremely fast, especially if you're talking about steaks or a thinner cut or skirt steak or flank steak or something that's not very thick. It's a great way to thaw beef. It's a great way if you get home for work and you realize you don't have anything out, you can thaw beef extremely quickly in a cold water bath. Just keep an eye on it. And you can actually like dump the water out halfway through and put more cold water in it if you're thawing a bunch of steaks, because the frozen steaks will cool the water faster as well. And it's just a great way to thaw a steak. The reason why you put it in a Ziploc bag is just to make sure that you're keeping no water from entering the package in case you've had a steak in your freezer for a while. Every now and then a seal will pop just because of rough handling. And that's just a safe way to make sure no water enters the packaging. So those are the two best ways to thaw beef, is in your fridge or a cold water bath when you're needing some beef for supper. So the next thing is how long is beef good for in the fridge? This depends on if you're putting it in frozen or if it's like this steak and it's thawed. When you look online and when you look at the guidelines, they say like 3 to 5 days. It's just going to depend on a lot of factors, but I would say on average closer to 5 days. But it's just good to make sure, like if you're getting some steaks out and you're not going to eat them today, sometimes what I'll do is, if it's a busy week, is I'll write the date that I take it out and put it in the fridge with a permanent marker quick, just so I remember like, oh, I took that out a couple days ago. I need to get that cooked here today or tomorrow. So I'd say closer to 5 days your beef is good for in the fridge. Now, another common question I get is beef bad if it turns brown? No. So this is a skirt steak, and it's not the best, but see how it's darker over here and there's more red coloring here? This seal has popped. Let me show you guys. See how I can pull it apart? And this one I cannot. This one's still vacuum sealed. So when it was in my freezer, must be a tiny nick or something on here that's made it pop. Is it still fine? 100%. But since the oxygen has gotten in there, this part of the steak is a little browner compared to the redness over here. The only reason why that's happening is because oxygen has gotten into the bag. Think of it like if you've cut an apple for a snack and you ate part of it and you got distracted and came back and it started turning a little bit brown. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just the oxygen has touched the surface of the beef and has started to turn it brown. Same thing with ground beef or any cuts of red meat. If it has turned brown within a day or two, there's nothing wrong with it. Now, food spoiling and stuff, yes, what will happen is it will turn brown too. So that's like a loaded question, but there's way more factors to look into besides just your beef turning brown. It's the smell. Is it slimy? Has it like a green or a shimmer to it? You can look on the USDA's website, has a lot of great tips for telling for sure if your beef is bad or has spoiled. But This steak was taken out 3 days ago. We're going to eat it tonight or tomorrow, and it just has a little bit of exposure from oxygen, so I know it's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It just got some air touching the surface, and it isn't that red we are used to seeing, but there's nothing wrong with your beef. So that's a couple tips and suggestions I have for you guys about safe handling of your beef, what to look for. And below, I will put a link to the USDA's website that talks about beef spoilage, as well as there's a little bit of safe handling there as well. If you have any questions, you guys can always reach out to me or leave a comment below. And I hope I answered some of your guys' questions today.